If you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. Imagine getting into your car with no destination in mind. You start driving, but where are you going? How will you know when you've arrived? That's how most people live their lives. Wandering aimlessly, hoping they'll end up somewhere good. But hope is not a strategy. If you want to achieve everything you desire, you must begin with a clear, definite vision. You see, success doesn't happen by accident. It's designed. It's built. And it all starts with knowing exactly what you want. Vague goals lead to vague results. If you say, I want to be successful, what does that mean? Does it mean financial freedom, a thriving business, a strong, healthy body, a deep, fulfilling relationship? If you don't define it, how will you ever get it? I remember when I was just starting out, frustrated with where I was. I wanted more, but I wasn't sure what more even meant. I'd say things like, I want to be wealthy, but what did that look like? How much money? By when? What kind of lifestyle did I want? The truth was I had no clarity, and because I had no clarity, I had no direction. It wasn't until I sat down and got specific, defining my goals in clear, measurable terms, that things started to change. Clarity is power. When you know exactly what you want, your mind starts working in ways you never imagined. Your brain is like a heat-seeking missile. It needs a target. The moment you define your vision with precision, everything shifts. You start recognizing opportunities. You notice people and resources that were always there but never caught your attention before. That's not magic. It's the power of focus. Think of a magnifying glass. If you hold it over a piece of paper and move it around, nothing happens. But the moment you hold it steady, focused on one spot, the sun's rays ignite a fire. Your vision works the same way. When you focus all your energy on a clear goal, you create the momentum that turns possibilities into reality. I once met a young man who told me he wanted to be successful. I asked him, "Successful in what?" He said, "I don't know, I just want to be rich." I asked, "Rich how? Through business, investing, a high-paying career?" He shrugged. That's the problem. You can't hit a target you can't see. You can't build a future you haven't defined. Take the time to write it down. What does your ideal life look like? Where do you live? What do you do? Who do you spend time with? How much do you earn? The more specific you get, the stronger your vision becomes. Don't just think about what you want. Feel it, experience it in your mind. The clearer your vision, the more real it becomes. And don't let small thinking limit you. Dream big. Set goals that excite you. Most people aim too low and hit, rather than aim high and stretch. If your goal doesn't scare you a little, it's probably not big enough. Once you define it, commit to it. Burn the bridges behind you. No more, maybe someday. Decide. Because once you truly decide, everything else falls into place. The people you meet, the choices you make, the habits you build, all align with that vision. So ask yourself, what do you really want? Not what someone else told you to want, not what society expects of you, but what truly excites you. Define it with absolute clarity, because once you do, the path will start to reveal itself. One of the most liberating decisions you will ever make is to take full responsibility for your life. Not partial responsibility, not conditional responsibility, 100% responsibility. That means no more excuses, no more blaming circumstances, no more waiting for someone else to change things for you. Because the moment you take ownership of everything in your life, good or bad, is the moment you take control of your future. You see, most people go through life pointing fingers. They blame the economy, their upbringing, their boss, their parents, the government, anything and everything except themselves. And as long as you believe that your success or failure is determined by forces outside of you, you'll remain stuck. Because when you give away responsibility, you give away power. You become a passenger in your own life instead of the driver. I remember a time when I was struggling. And I had every excuse in the book. I blamed my lack of education. I blamed my circumstances. I even blamed bad luck. I told myself that life was unfair, that some people just had advantages I didn't have. But one day I had a mentor who sat me down and told me something that changed everything. He said, "You are where you are because of the choices you've made." At first, that was hard to hear. I wanted to push back. I wanted to say, "No, you don't understand my situation." But the more I thought about it, the more I realized he was right. Every decision I had made, how I spent my time, how I managed my money, what I chose to learn or not learn, had led me to exactly where I was. And if my choices got me here, then different choices could take me somewhere else. That realization was like flipping a switch. Suddenly, I wasn't a victim anymore. I wasn't powerless. I had the ability to change. And the same is true for you. No matter where you are right now, no matter what's happened in your past, you have the power to create a different future. But it starts with taking ownership. This applies to every area of your life. If your finances aren't where you want them to be, take responsibility. If your health isn't where you want it to be, take responsibility. If your relationships aren't as strong as they could be, take responsibility. That doesn't mean blaming yourself. I once knew a man who constantly complained about his job. Every day he'd go on and on about how unfair his boss was, how his coworkers were lazy, how he wasn't being paid what he deserved. But year after year, nothing changed. Why? Because he was waiting for someone else to fix his problems. Now, contrast that with another man I met who was in the same situation, stuck in a job he didn't like, feeling undervalued, but instead of complaining, he took action. He started reading books, learning new skills, networking with people in his field. Within a year, he had a better job with higher pay and more opportunity. Same situation, different response. You see, life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by change. And change begins the moment you say, "I am responsible." Because when you take full responsibility, you stop waiting and you start doing. So, ask yourself, are you owning your life or are you making excuses? Are you in control or are you handing that control over to circumstances? The choice is yours. And the moment you decide to take 100% responsibility, everything starts to shift. Once you have a clear vision and you've taken full responsibility for your life, the next step is to take relentless, massive action. Not small, hesitant steps, not waiting for the perfect moment, but bold, decisive, unstoppable action. Because without action, even the best ideas, the best plans, and the best intentions mean nothing. Success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying the fundamentals. Too many people sit on the sidelines waiting. They wait for the right time, the right opportunity, the right resources. But the truth is, waiting never creates results. Only action does. If you want to change your life, you have to move, and you have to move now. I remember when I first decided I wanted to change my financial situation. I had a plan, I had a goal, but for a while I hesitated. I kept telling myself I needed to learn more, I needed more preparation, I needed more confidence. But then I realized something. I would never feel 100% ready. And if I kept waiting, I would stay exactly where I was. So I made a decision. I would take action even if I wasn't completely prepared. And that decision changed everything. When I started, I wasn't the best. I made mistakes. I stumbled. I had failures. But because I was taking massive action every single day, I was also learning, improving, and growing. And over time, those small improvements compounded into massive success. Think about it. How do people achieve incredible results in any area of life? The top athletes, the most successful entrepreneurs, the greatest artists, they all have one thing in common. They don't just take action once in a while. They take consistent, massive action every day, even when they don't feel like it. You don't have to be perfect to start. You just have to start. Stop overthinking, stop second guessing, and start moving forward. Because success doesn't come from playing it safe. It comes from playing it safe. 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 We are up. The question is, are you willing to do what it takes? Are you willing to push past your fears, past your doubts, past your excuses? Because if you are, there is no limit to what you can achieve. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. The people you spend time with shape your thinking, your habits, and ultimately your future. You can have the biggest dreams, the clearest vision, and the best plan, but if you're surrounded by people who drag you down, who fill your mind with doubt and negativity, those dreams will wither before they ever have a chance to grow. I learned this lesson early on when I was struggling to get ahead. I had ambition, but I was still spending time with people who had no drive, no vision, no desire to grow. Conversations were filled with complaints, excuses, and reasons why life wasn't fair. And without realizing it, their mindset was becoming my mindset. It wasn't until my mentor pointed it out that I saw what was happening. He said, if you want to change your life, start by changing who you listen to. That hit me hard. I had to make a choice. Keep my old circle and stay stuck, or surround myself with people who would challenge me to become better. So I made a change. I started spending time with those who had the kind of success I wanted, people who thought bigger, worked harder, and demanded more of themselves. And something amazing happened. My standards changed. I started thinking differently, acting differently, making better decisions. Just being around the right people elevated my expectations of what was possible. Look at any successful person and you'll see they have a powerful inner circle. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, inspire them, and push them forward. They know that energy is contagious, whether it's positive or negative. You need to ask yourself, who are you spending your time with? Are they lifting you up or pulling you down? Are they encouraging you to grow, or are they feeding your doubts? Because whether you realize it or not, their influence is shaping you. If you want to achieve more, find people who are ahead of you. People who have the mindset, habits, and results you aspire to. Seek out mentors who can guide you, friends who will challenge you, and peers who won't let you settle for less than your best. And sometimes that means letting go of relationships that no longer serve you. It's not easy, but it's necessary. If someone is constantly draining your energy, filling your mind with negativity, or making you doubt yourself, you have to step away. Your environment will determine your success. Choose it wisely, because when you surround yourself with people who elevate you, there's no limit to how far you can go. Your mindset is the foundation of everything. The most successful people believe they can improve, learn, and adapt. They don't see failure as a dead end, but as feedback. Stop saying, I can't. Instead, say, I can learn. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. It can be your greatest asset or your biggest limitation. The way you think, the way you interpret challenges, and the way you respond to setbacks determine everything. Some people believe their abilities, intelligence, and talents are fixed. They think they're either born with certain skills or they're not. And because of that belief, they never push themselves beyond their comfort zone. They avoid challenges, they fear failure, and they stay stuck, exactly where they are. But then there's another type of person, the kind who believes that growth is possible, that intelligence, skills, and abilities are like muscles. They can be developed with effort, learning, and perseverance. These people don't see failure as the end. They see it as a stepping stone, a lesson, an opportunity to get better. And because of that, they keep moving forward. I remember when I was just starting out, trying to build something meaningful. I faced rejection after rejection. It would have been easy to take it personally, to think, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. But I realized that every setback was a lesson. Every failure was feedback. Instead of saying, I can't do this, I started asking, what can I learn from this? And that simple shift in thinking made all the difference. Look at anyone who has achieved greatness, and you'll see the same pattern. They weren't born with all the skills. They didn't have it all figured out. They grew into it. Michael Jordan wasn't always the best player. He was cut from his high school basketball team. But instead of giving up, he used that as motivation to work harder. Thomas Edison didn't get the light bulb right on the first try. He failed thousands of times, but each failure brought him closer to success. The question is, how do you develop this mindset for yourself? It starts with self-awareness. Catching yourself when you fall into limiting beliefs. When you hear yourself saying, I'm not good at this. Reframe it. I'm not good at this yet. That small shift changes everything. Instead of defining yourself by your current abilities, you start focusing on your potential. It also means embracing challenges instead of avoiding them. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. Every time you push yourself, every time you try something new, you stretch your abilities. And yes, you might fail. But failure is nothing more than proof that you're trying. And perhaps most importantly, it means controlling the way you talk to yourself. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not capable, not smart enough, not talented enough, you will believe it. And if you believe it, you will act in a way that makes it true. But if you fill your mind with words of possibility, I can learn this, I can improve, I can figure this out, you will start acting in accordance with that belief. It's a choice, a simple but powerful choice. You can choose to stay stuck, or you can choose to grow. And when you make the choice to adopt a growth mindset, your whole world opens up. Suddenly, challenges aren't roadblocks, they're opportunities. Failures aren't defeats, they're lessons. And your potential is no longer limited by where you are today, because the truth is, you can become more than you are right now. You can learn, you can grow, you can improve. But only if you believe it. Only if you're willing to step outside your comfort zone, embrace challenges, and keep pushing forward, no matter what. Motivation gets you started, habit keeps you going. Success isn't about grand, one-time efforts. It's about the small, consistent actions repeated every single day. The problem is, most people start with enthusiasm but lose momentum when things get tough, when results don't show up right away, or when the excitement fades. But here's the truth. The real magic happens in the mundane, in the discipline of showing up day after day, doing the work even when you don't feel like it. That's what separates those who achieve everything they want from those who only wish for it. I've seen so many people set ambitious goals. They start strong, they work hard for a few weeks, maybe even a few months, But when they don't see immediate results, they get discouraged. They say, maybe this isn't for me, or maybe I need to try something else. So they jump from one thing to another, never sticking with anything long enough to see it through. But success doesn't work that way. It rewards those who are willing to stay the course, to keep going long after the excitement has worn off. Think about fitness. If you go to the gym for a week and expect to see a six-pack, you'll be disappointed. But if you go every single day, if you put in the work consistently over months and years, the results are inevitable. It's not about one intense workout. It's about the discipline to show up again and again, even when progress feels slow. Or take business. Most people think success comes from a big breakthrough, a lucky moment. But in reality, it's the result of relentless consistency. A salesperson who makes calls every day, even when they're not in the mood, will outperform the one who works in bursts of motivation. A writer who writes every day, even when they feel uninspired, will eventually produce something great. The key isn't intensity, it's persistence. I remember when I started on my own journey, I had days where I doubted myself, where I felt like my efforts weren't making a difference. But I made a decision: I would not quit. I would keep doing the right things, no matter how small, every single day. And over time, those small efforts compounded into something extraordinary. That's the beauty of consistency. At first, it feels like nothing is happening, but over time, small actions add up. Like water dripping on a rock. It may not seem powerful at first, but over time, it creates a lasting impact. So the question is, are you willing to stay committed? Are you willing to keep going, even when results aren't immediate? Because those who stay relentlessly consistent are the ones who ultimately achieve everything they set out to do. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. If you work on your job, you'll make a living. If you work on yourself, you'll make a fortune. Your internal dialogue shapes your reality. If you constantly tell yourself you're not good enough, your mind will believe it. But if you feed yourself words of confidence, possibility, and success, you'll create that reality. Your mind is the command center of your life. Everything you do, everything you achieve or fail to achieve starts with a single thought. The question is, who's in control of that thought? Because if you don't take charge of your mindset, something else will. Circumstances, doubts, fears, negativity from the outside world. And once you let those forces dictate your thinking, they start controlling your results. It's incredible how many people sabotage themselves before they even get started. They fill their minds with doubt. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the experience. What if I fail? And before they've taken a single step, they've already convinced themselves that success is out of reach. But here's the truth. Your life is shaped by the story you tell yourself every day. If that story is filled with limitations, guess what? You'll live within those limitations. But if your story is filled with belief, strength, and possibility, you'll start finding ways to make things happen. I remember a time early in my journey when I faced failure after failure. I started doubting myself, wondering if I was cut out for success. But then I realized something. It wasn't my abilities holding me back. It was my own mind. My self-talk was tearing me down instead of building me up. So I made a decision. I started replacing those doubts with a new voice, one that said, I can figure this out. I am capable. I will succeed no matter what. And everything changed. Not overnight, not in an instant, but slowly, surely, my mind started working for me instead of against me. Imagine you have two voices inside you. One is fear, and the other is confidence. Whichever one you feed will grow stronger. If you feed fear, it takes over. If you feed confidence, it becomes the dominant force in your life. The key is to take control of your self-talk. Start speaking to yourself like someone you believe in, like someone who is destined for greatness. Because if you don't believe in yourself, how can you expect anyone else to? Great athletes, top performers, successful entrepreneurs, they all have one thing in common. They have mastered their mindset. They don't allow negativity to take root. They don't let doubt dictate their actions. They talk to themselves in a way that pushes them forward, that fuels their drive, that keeps them going even when things get tough. And make no mistake, things will get tough. Challenges will come. Setbacks will happen. But the way you respond to those moments determines everything. Will you tell yourself, "This is too hard, I should quit"? Or will you say, "This is just a test and I will pass it"? Your words shape your actions, and your actions shape your results. So, ask yourself, what kind of story are you telling? What words are you repeating in your mind every day? If they are not empowering you, it's time to change them. Because once you control your mindset and your self-talk, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can stand in your way